want. And I got Nico Cattoni here from Raptore, all the way from Barcelona, Spain. Are you still in Barcelona?
Yes, I am here in Barcelona. How you doing, my friend?
So one of the things that is mind-boggling to me still to this day, and I told you earlier I wanted to talk to you about this, was how you came from Argentina to Barcelona and the pursuit of a heavy metal dream.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that I always thought that the project, the whole Raptor concept and idea, uh, might have better recognition that I had in Argentina. So that's the main reason. I was tired of never finding suitable musicians to do my project. I mean, let's say traditional heavy metal or that new wave of traditional heavy metal wasn't that big in Argentina at that time. So I was having a hard time trying to find people to come with me in the project as well. So yeah, one time it just hit me. I was like taking a shower and I was like, oh man, this is never gonna change. Let's try to bring the Raptor project to Europe, and basically the idea was to have a better showcase for the project. So I thought that Europe would be a good platform to start over.
You're definitely not wrong about that in comparison to Argentina.
Of course.
Rex, go inside, man. Stop bothering me. Jesus Christ! I told you it's a never a dull moment here. I should have never let him earlier, because now he's gonna be like, he's knocking at the door telling me my dog is chasing a squirrel. But
oh, really?
That's besides the point. So you told me, so how we first started talking, you sent me a message because you saw that I was like releasing records. You were looking for a record label at the time.
Yeah.
And you weren't having the best of luck.
No, because at that time we just had 2 songs, because I wanted to. I didn't want to have to lose more time. I thought, okay, since in 2018 a small German label did our debut album, I thought, okay, let's seize that opportunity and let's not waste more time and let's release something, at least saying, hey, we're still active, we're now in Europe, we're in Barcelona, and this is how we sound now, right? And and so yeah, we just recorded 2 songs because I mean, my ideal will have been to record the whole album and release Blackfire at once, but that wasn't possible. So I just I said to the guys, hey, let's just do 2 songs as a single, as a presentation, and let's try to have any luck with the labels. And I started to send the email to all the labels that there exist, and we had some responses at that time, but they were like, okay, that sounds nice, but 2 songs is not that big deal. Let's talk again when you record the full album and that. But you you were kind enough to see something in the project, in ourselves. So you just replied me and you say, hey, how can I help you? I mean, I like your project. I think you guys have the songs, you have the looks, you can do good. And actually that was the answer that I was waiting. Your response was actually the longest and from the heart,
Yeah.
And I felt connected with that, and I replied you, and your longer response and your longer email and saying you, hey, thank you very much. I mean, anything you can do for us will be okay. Just to release a tape, a CD, just to make the album exist,
Yeah.
and so the people knows that we have the support of of a label, and that's what you did. And I remember you even called me. You called me. It was like 2 a.m. in the morning here in Barcelona, and you even called me, and that was huge for me because I didn't expect that, and I saw that you were uh, a legal dude, and you were like you were a musician as well, and you understood my feelings as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was pretty important for me, and actually was a
Yeah,
big step.
you didn't seem like, I was surprised like that nobody was really like looking to
Yeah.
support Raptore in the beginning, as as like sometimes, I feel like labels should be like developing people, like when they see like what I felt when you told me your story about coming to
Mhm.
Barcelona and all that, living on a boat and like just all this
Yeah.
crazy shit. I was like, this dude has the spirit, like that.
Yeah.
That's more than anything, because a lot of people just want to get onto a bandwagon of things that are popular, or just try to recreate nostalgia. And I didn't really feel that from you. I didn't really feel like you're like trying to recreate nostalgia. Like you wanted to do something that with a very, very specific details that you had. And I also saw that, like, I was just like, it's a little bit different. Like this dude's different than that. And
Yeah.
I was like, man, we didn't do anything. I mean, our little project, it wasn't like a huge thing,
No,
but
but it
like you
was
said,
enough.
it was more about this, like supporting it and giving it like just breathing a little life into it, being like, hey, these guys, this is a good band. Like you're gonna wish later that you had heard this and supported it earlier on. So at least they, when you come onto the scene, it's not, it's just not out of nowhere,
Yeah.
like, so I felt like it was really, honestly, I think for you it was really good timing, because it was just a little bit before the explosion that is the new wave of traditional heavy metal YouTube page now, which is just riddled with I've seen this happen before with my previous band Beastmaker, and I've been
Yeah.
a little bit more I've been a little bit more vocal about this lately. Is like, even though there's always been these channels, right, that are
Yes.
specific to genres, and like the doom metal scene has like stoned metal, um, Doom Mister 666. I think people that put like full albums up and they have a shitload of people like can hear what's new. And it's like what's being released. But what happens with that is it just becomes so easily accessible to everybody to do constantly, that it just becomes, and you're never gonna really, you're not gonna find that gem.
Yeah.
Like
Got it.
it gets harder to find. You're like, now I'm like, you're having to go through a lot more,
Yeah.
as we're early into something that's coming back or is becoming popular. There's a lot less bands around to like, you're like, oh shit. So like, I feel like you came right in time before,
The
like
explosion. Yeah.
five albums a day are coming out,
Yeah.
like, to where
Exactly.
it's like,
And
now I feel like it's lost some edge a little bit. What do you think about that?
yeah, the exact same. I mean, now every band sounds the same. It is way easier to do traditional heavy metal or more classical heavy metal, or because the bases are all set now, and to in order for you as a band to have a little recognition, you have to go further. You have to to bring something new on the table, and it's not enough just to have good, I mean, songs that could be easily marked as, okay, this is tradition, new wave of traditional heavy metal. You have to bring something different, because I mean, it's all coming in waves. It was this wave of traditional heavy metal first. Then the bands started to wear masks, and at the end, what 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 survives all that trends are just the meaningful music, the good quality songs, and if you had a true message or solid basis, you know.
Yeah, and I'm not like saying that, like, I'm not trying to gatekeep or anything. I'm like,
No, no,
follow your dreams. I'm that guy that's like, you must follow your passion, and some people's passions lie upon that, of where it's like they want to stick to a certain thing. They want to live like that nostalgic kind of like retro thing, but there's also the like dudes, like myself. I don't really want to mention people too much, that because they might not think the same about things as I do. But I'm just gonna name a couple people that I know that are like, it's we've been around for a while, and we've had bands even further back. Like a lot of guys had punk bands and went to metal, but like like Jarvis Leatherby from Night Demon, Olaf from Enforcer,
yeah,
Jason and Ian from Cauldron, and Zach Schlatter from Skullfist, and like I'm not saying like I never when I never heard a new wave of traditional heavy metal when Haunt started.
yeah,
I was playing heavy metal. I was playing like a heavy metal music that was different than my other band. And that's really, I've said this a million times, and there is an interview out there somewhere because it's so old now. It's like 6 years ago. But somebody asked me when Luminous Eyes came out, I did an interview, and they were like, what do you think of the new wave of traditional heavy metal? I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, what the fuck is the new wave of traditional heavy metal? And then they told me that it was a YouTube channel. And that's when I was like, I went and looked, and there wasn't that many bands on it at the time. It was pretty limited, but you could start to see that there was like emerging artists, and like
yeah,
some of them were doing like really massive things already, like Eternal Champion and Visigoth specifically, and
yeah,
um and Enforcer as well. Skullfist was already like traveling the world and doing stuff. And I forgot to mention White Wizard. I just kind of I sometimes I forget bands aren't like active anymore,
yeah,
because you just don't see it anymore, and it just kind of eludes my mind. So I want to
yeah.
definitely throw them some love, because they were doing it.
Well,
Um,
also the guys from Cauldron were like the leaders of that
oh
pack,
yeah,
you know,
yeah. Oh,
the one.
I mean, Cauldron, I feel like it was like a lot is owed to Enforcer and Cauldron, because they were
Yeah, for
kind of
sure.
like they were like doing it when nobody was really like looking at that sound. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
I was doing more like my previous band. Like I've always been like a little bit rooted in the British metal. Like I've always really like connected. Obviously, I'm wearing
yeah,
a retro Satan shirt right now. One of my
nice.
favorite bands of all time, and everybody knows. Like, I mean, I wear it on my sleeve. I'm a huge Angel Witch fan. I'm a huge Satan fan. I'm a huge
Yeah,
Diamond Head fan. Blitzkrieg, Brian Ross is like legendary to me, and then it also goes back to like Black Sabbath and how much I've loved Ozzy Osbourne in my whole life. Like
yeah.
he's such a
I
big
mean,
big influence to me. But
yeah,
like
me
I
too.
was like Beastmaker, I was doing like a Sabbath, like kind of Witchfinder General vibe,
Yes.
trying going for that. But then I was like, I want to do something more like meaningful, and like start writing lyrics that were more personable. But you know, um, like I feel like with bands like Enforcer, they were bringing a lot more speed to the table than I was like kind of looking for at that time. I kind of fell along the lines of maybe Cauldron a little bit more, even though there are probably some comparisons with Haunt and Cauldron in the beginning, but I feel like we're just very different style bands. Like ultimately, like just there's a lot of differences between what we do. Cauldron is an exceptional band, and it's too bad that they've really had to kind of put it on halt. I know they're playing Hell's Heroes and stuff. It
Yeah,
would be really great to see them kind of like get the recognition they deserve for kind of spearheading what people didn't
they
even
did.
know. Like myself, I was just trying to do like British style heavy metal. I was like
Yeah,
something I've always wanted to do, and I didn't want to like when I started, I didn't want to just copy British bands. Like I brought some of my like California influence in it. So like a lot of the
Yeah,
punk rock stuff that
you can hear
been
that
happening. You
in your
know, like
voice, in your vocal lines as well. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, it's a little bit different than the same. You know, it really depends on the speed of the song. Ultimately, I feel like that really changes like how I'm singing it and stuff. But it's I'm waiting for the the bell to ding when like it just starts to catapult and be less desirable because I was born in 81, so I grew up in a musical family. I had family in the music,
you
and
know.
I saw, like, even at a very young age, like, and my uncle Paul, my mom's brother, was in like he was like part of the Sunset Strip, like glam metal thing. Like he was in a band. They were signed. They were traveling to Japan, and they were really good. They looked exceptionally well. They were all young, had big fucking permed hair, and like it's he told me, he's like, Trev, he's like, we got signed in 89, and by
Okay.
the time our album came out, Nirvana was there and it killed
Yeah.
the band. We were dead instantly. It's like 7 years of us being a band. One night it was just like boom, this is
Yeah.
not cool anymore. And I think a lot of people forget, like, or they don't care, but musicians, I'm like, I think, like, I like what my point is, really what I'm trying to get across is that there needs to be a little bit of, you just don't do the same thing. And there's a lot, I mean, a lot. And it does bother me, and some people may hate on me for this, but I only speak the truth. There's a lot of steel and horse riding and battle things,
I feel
that
you,
is
man.
big one. Like I would put that, like, that is what is talked about the most in most
Yeah.
metal bands. Would you agree on that?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I feel the same. Uh, as you said, I mean, I just started to do metal and heavy metal the way that I liked it. So adding all the elements that were meaningful to me, like Kiss, AC/DC, Zeppelin, all the rock stuff, the rock from the 70s. And even though it might be not much noticeable on the music, but I know for sure that, I don't know, this part of this song was inspired by an AC/DC song, for example. And
Sure.
yeah, and I think that, I mean, the same as you were saying recently, the only way to make a difference is to be trust to yourself. And if you have all that background and all those elements, just add them to the music, to your songs, and make them sound different, um, otherwise you're going to be just another number on that YouTube channel. You might
Yeah.
have a lot of visits, but man, you're doing the exact same riff that they are they are already done in the 80s. We have plenty of them, and you have to, if you want to make a difference, you have to understand that your music have somehow has to match or tops or whatever the music that people is listening now. Even if you have your influences from the 70s, the 80s, or whatever, the 90s. I love the 90s, for example. um, uh, the music that is out now, which is popular, uh, is way disconnected to the new way of traditional heavy metal, for instance. You know, and I
I
mean, that's the
I
way that I see
consider myself I consider myself part of the new wave of American heavy metal.
it.
Uh,
Nice.
More because, like, we don't get kind of the same love as certain bands do in Europe, and we've really, like, really pushed things here in America. And I think that's why Haunt has been successful a little bit. Like the little success that I had is that we've toured pretty heavily here and we push the music that we want to do here. And we don't get invited to all the festivals in Europe barely ever. And we have kind of a hard time over there. I don't even have a booking agent right now in Europe. And, you know, which to me, I'm like, I sometimes I scroll through them to see like where the differences are. Like, is it like a numbers game of like how many Spotify listeners you have or Spotify followers to how many Instagram followers and yada yada
Yeah.
yada. But you know, like I I feel a vast disconnect personally from what's happening over there as opposed to what's happening here. Um,
Yeah.
I you know, like, it's not that there's not people that like Haunt over there, it's just, like, some of the business and the politics part of there is a lot more complicated for me than it is here, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and I when and what sucks, man, what totally sucks, I've embraced it, but one of the reasons that I wanted to start Haunt initially was my band got tagged as doom metal, and I was like, "Man, what if I wanna, like, change?" At some point? What if I want to do something different? Because doom metal's so specific. After you go past a certain beat per minute, you're no longer a doom band. You know,
Yeah.
like it really that's how specific the genre is. It's like you speed up and now it's a different style of metal altogether. Would you agree with that? Like doom metal
Yeah.
is it's a tempo oriented genre of metal.
Yeah. Yes, you're correct.
So I just wanted to like I didn't want to be pigeonholed again. Like I was like I swore against it. I was like I want a band where I'm able to create the music that I want to create without like absolving any of my fan base, you know, them being like what the fuck is this? This is not this. And so I thought I was doing that with Haunt, you know. I thought like I was like kind of throwing a little bit of everything that I liked into a little fucking ball, like this, you know, just things. I wanted to write love songs. I wanted to write, you know, important message songs about like battling alcoholism to just certain areas where I've had tragedy, you know,
Yeah.
tragedy strict things happen, like the deaths of my cousins that I grew up playing music with, which most people that have listened to me before or followed me know that like I had three cousins that I grew up playing music with, and they all were tragically, you know, they tragically lost their lives young. And I've used music as kind of a way to like overcome things, you know, and so I talk about that sort of thing. So it was like, you know, I wanted to have something that kind of like, you know, transcends this like mold of like, this is what you are, you know, like this is who your band is. And when it happened, when new wave of traditional heavy metal like started to kind of like take off, I guess, so to speak,
Yeah.
you know, I was like, fuck. But then I was like, well, I'm gonna embrace this because I've never gotten to a music genre early enough to where we were some of the first bands like actually it and touring, you know, like that was kind of big in its own right. And I realized that, you know, I was like, well, even though this is against what my initial like passion was just to be me myself, like metal rock whatever, you know, like my latest single I do, you know, we're doing fucking finger
Yeah.
pick acoustic
Serenade.
guitar riff acoustic guitar riff in the beginning, which is you know, I'm not saying nobody's ever done that before, but like it's not something that's, you know,
Yeah.
usually it's not as common, you know, it's not as common. And that's what I mean by like just kind of being able to be like, fuck it, I'm gonna do this, and I'm not gonna worry about like the repercussions of what the genre thinks. You know, like what is this? Or you're selling out, you're trying to be poppy or whatever the fuck, you know, and but like you're just sticking true to yourself, you know,
Yeah.
and I really hope that like a lot of bands, I know for a fact you will survive the downtrend that is inevitable, because when you've been around, I'm gonna be 43 this year. So I've seen scenes come, scene go, and it's coming. You know what I mean? That's like, I'm not saying it's happening tomorrow, today, a year from now, or whatever. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, just from the experience of 3 decades in music, that it will happen. It'll just be like, But the underground always has a way of surviving and thriving, and that's what I've always loved about punk music, rock, like dirty rock and roll music, heavy metal, is that like there's always a place for it to survive after the the descent, of
Yeah.
just like, because how are these record labels gonna survive
Yeah.
the
Eventually,
streaming
they need to
era?
release, yeah, what there is at the moment. And I mean, you cannot release the same record over and over again from all the bands sounding the exact same, the same
Yeah,
kind of songs.
you're gonna blow out your
Yeah.
fucking wallet. You're gonna blow it out. It's like,
Yeah.
and not
I
saying
mean,
that those bands shouldn't have. Again,
no.
I know you, and we're not saying these band, like, certain bands, they don't deserve to be, have a label or whatever. I'm just saying, is like, there should always be a little bit of caution to things when you have to rely on other people. Like me, I'm just releasing my own shit, and I figured out a way to do that, and like, so I don't care. I'll put out an album every year, maybe 2 albums every year, because guess what? Like, I figured out a way to do it where I don't need anybody to do it for me, and it's not gonna, it's a different process than 90% of the bands out there. But
Yeah.
I don't want to see everybody fail. I don't want to see the record labels start to collapse or be like, we can't afford to do this, or this and that is now a problem. And there's a lot of smart labels out there that aren't like putting out too much of the same. They need to keep their money. Like, I feel like the money actually, like, one of the reasons they should do less is to invest more into the band that is going to be the one that's going to go out on the road and
Yeah.
sell records and build their following up, and not just like rely on internet and music festivals to get recognition. You got to kind of go out there, and like, we could go back to Cauldron. They were touring with like Municipal Waste and bands back when, opening up, and like they really gave it a shot. And that's why, like, sometimes, like I said, like, I hope they come back at some point and have some success, if this music genre does see that level of success. Something like Hell's Heroes is great because you get all the people that listen to it in one place. And I haven't been to a European festival in a while, but like, I feel the same kind of thing there. It's a little bit different than America. America has a little bit different vibe as far as 100%. In the marijuana intake is a lot different, obviously, because we could just fucking freely smoke and get good weed. And over in
Yeah.
Europe, you guys are smoking spliffs, dude. So like, they're putting tobacco and shit in
Yeah,
the
I
weed,
know.
and,
Yeah.
and like that's not what I'm smoking. This is like pure marijuana. They're 100%, other than the paper, So
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
everybody, and then we're eating edibles and shit over, at Hell. And it's just a little bit different vibe, to where, like, I feel like Germany specifically, it's definitely more beer drinking kind of thing
Yes.
going on, like slamming hella beers. It's a little bit, and so, like I said, it's not like a crazy difference. It's just a different vibe. And I've been lucky enough. I got to hang out with you in Barcelona. Very
Yeah.
lucky in reality, because if you think about it, that was the last tour before COVID.
Yeah, yeah, I remember. I remember that.
That was like, the world shut down like 2 weeks later.
Yeah. It was 2020 actually, right?
It was
Yes, yes.
2020.
Yes, I remember that gig because the promoter had no idea that you had a label and that you were releasing our single under your charge recording. So I once I saw the flyer online, I went to the promoter. I say, hey man, this guy Trevor is I know him. We can open for them. We are on the same. We are under his label. Why don't you call us? and he was like, "Oh man, I had no idea." And at that time, we were supposed to open to play with Sabir, the guys from Australia.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Yeah, and that concert was supposed to be like 1 week after yours. So they were like, "No, no, let's keep you guys opening." No, not open. Well, yeah, we were supposed to opening for Sabir, and let's leave hand with the other band, and that's it. But for the next time, I have that. I know that you are friends with Trevor, and let's make things work. Yeah, and I remember that.
I
And
hope to even make it back to Spain, man. Like it's
yeah,
been 4 years since I've been to Europe, and I did talk to the dudes from Hitton about coming to America, and I think I'm pretty sure we're making it happen. Is like we're helping them get over here, and they're gonna help us kind of get back in because like when I go back to because we're doing Europe twice this year, and
yeah,
I
I saw.
felt like when we come back, I
Yeah, it was a midweek concert as well. It was like a Thursday. Yeah.
they had me backstage. They're like, "You're gonna go on about 3 a.m." and I was like, "What? Like what? 3? Why the fuck did you have me here at noon? Like I need to go take a nap." Like but
Yeah,
they rage over there differently, and
yeah,
that was a rad show, and I really loved it. And then we played in I might be getting these mixed up. I'm fucking stupid right now when it comes to these places. But anyway, point being is I really do like Spain. Like I think there's like it's a great spot. And then my buddies, I got Raptori there, and I also have my friends in Hitton. Who are I feel like both of your guys' bands are very unique, and like I've always loved both bands. I like to go to places and see my friends or play with my friends' bands. And hopefully when we do the hitting thing, hope maybe we can get Raptori, attached to that, and we all go hang out, have fun, and do what we do every night, and it'd be really
sure.
great. And so like when we go back, it'll be Spain, I hope, because like I'd love to see you, and I'd love to get back to seeing the heavy metal maniacs of Spain as well, because
Yeah,
it's a little bit different. And I think I told you when we got to Barcelona that it reminds me a lot more of like California than
yeah,
other
it has that
parts of.
vibe. Yeah.
We got there, and everybody was smoking weed out front. So I was like, okay, hey, this is a little bit more. I'm a little, and then you're also looking out over the coast, and like the
Yeah, because
weather. The
that venue,
weather's better too. The
yeah, that
weather.
venue, that particular venue was near the beach. I mean, it was basically on the port, on the.
Yeah, it was fucking rad. I got there, I was like,
Yeah,
I love it here. I was like,
yeah,
I feel like I'm in Southern California right now. Like you didn't need, we had just got from, we came in from Germany where it was snowing, and I'm like a fucking skinny fucking small
yeah,
person. I'm like frozen everywhere. We get to Barcelona and it was like jackets off,
yeah,
and I
yeah. It has that
was
vibe.
stoked.
Yeah, Barcelona has that vibe. That
It's so
free.
awesome, man. I can't wait to return. I mean, I really do. And also like the food is a little bit more, we see a lot more of the food here in America. We get a lot of tapas and things of that. Like that's very popular in
Yeah,
America, where like German food, not so much. I don't eat a lot of I don't eat meat, so I don't eat sausage, and I don't eat, I do like sauerkraut, not gonna lie. I've always been a fan of fermented foods as far as like maintaining good gut health and things, like, probiotic foods and things. But like I've always, and probably from being from California, that's, dominantly Latino, You know,
Yeah.
I've grown up in that culture, you know, even though I'm not Latino, but like always my whole life, almost all of my friends are Latino. So when I get to Spain and it's like very similar culture, same language almost, and you know, you're just like, I love it. You know, I feel at home. I feel like this is like, you know, these are the people that I would have grown up with had I, you know what I mean? Like if you were to connect, it connects a lot more than it does with other parts of Europe. That's what I'm getting at. And personality trait wise too. You know,
Yes.
do you agree that there is like, even though you're not going very far, I feel like every time you go into into a new country, there's like there's a lot of cultural differences.
Yeah, yes, for sure. I mean, even coming from Argentina, even though you're saying that the Spanish guys are more influenced by like the Latino way of being or wherever, I felt like a little culture shock when moving here as well. But I mean, you just have to adapt, and that's it. There's plenty of Argentinians here every day, or more Argentinians. You cross them on the street everywhere. There's a lot of places to go to eat with Argentinian food, for example. So in that
Nice.
case, yeah, I can say that I miss much of the food, for example. But yeah, the culture is different. I mean, I don't know if you ever saw a concert with an Argentinian crowd. I guess I think
No,
you,
I mean I don't have any. I have zero Argentinian experience, and you know,
but maybe in YouTube. I mean, any concert in
yeah,
YouTube.
I don't really
Okay.
spend that much. I don't really spend that much time looking at certain things. Is like,
Yeah.
especially just like like I'm busy. I'm like writing music, raising kid, you know, raising Rex, and trying to do the band shit, and then trying like what I'm trying to do now with this like friends thing that I'm doing on YouTube is just to like bring a little bit more insight to the people that are here right now, like that I feel are game changing type people. I When you sent me Black Fire, I was just like, I think I was supposed to put something out and it got all fucking. I was gonna do a vinyl thing here and all. I fucked all that up,
Yeah.
but it's all good. It's all good though because like it wasn't necessary because I think that what you guys are doing, what you're doing with Florian is great, and also I think you couldn't have chosen a better label than you guys were kind of on there early because now he's putting out a lot of. I
Yeah.
think his label. I really like Dying Victims. I think they're probably like my favorite underground metal label in Europe right now because there's a lot of differences of the styles of the bands.
Yeah.
Very, very and also I could say this: Florian is really supportive of me. Every time I put out a record, he buys a shitload off of me, and I know he's out. And I know he's out at the festivals
Yeah.
slanging fucking records. And I love Florian, man. I really do. I know me and like I was like, "What's going on?" We had this like weird tiff for a minute about the Raptore thing, but it was just because like we can't talk. We have to.
Yes.
Everything's like a message, and
Yeah. Yeah.
there's no universal way to know what is meant. And you know, like I said, I already knew. Like I was like, this cannot be like this doesn't make sense. And lo and
Yeah.
behold,
Hello.
obviously, I just talked to Florian 3 days ago, and he's getting a bunch of Dreamers vinyl. So like you know, like the at the fests that he goes and does that, and I think that's super rad too, mind you. That he's out there like literally selling records at
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that's fucking dedication and passion about it. And he, you know, like if he's making some money, I'm so glad for him because like there's nothing better than making money off of the thing that you're passionate about. And he's doing it smart. His releases are pretty like the numbers of vinyls pressed are like not astronomical. It's very
Yeah.
safe And like, if that band sees the success of getting rid of it all, he presses more. He has no
Yeah.
problem pressing records. Yeah, I mean, I was impressed with Florian from day one. I met him in Germany. I was like, who's this guy over here selling shit? So I went and looked at all the shit, and then I saw hot tapes. I saw hot tapes in there. I was like, dude.
Nice.
He's like, we've been friends ever since, you know. So
Yeah.
congratulations on your on Blackfire. But listen,
Thanks.
when I heard it, when you sent it to me, because I remember you were telling me we talked a lot back then. We still talk a lot. It's not that we always have
Yeah.
we've always kept in touch.
I'm
But
always
at that
sending you
time,
guitars as well.
yeah, I always send me pictures of my guitars. And you were like, I've been doing singing lessons, because I think that was one of the things that really at first was a problem with some of these labels. They weren't a big fan of your vocal style or something.
Yeah.
We did have a talk of that, and I didn't understand that. Like, I was like, you're a good singer. Like, it's just you just have to just like write the songs that are going to be the powerful songs, and that's that. You know what I mean? You were still developing what Raptore was going to be, and you sent
Correct.
me Blackfire on this weird like MIDI programmable thing one time. It was like the
Yeah.
guitars are computer. You wrote it like, I don't know what it was. Guitar
It was a
Tab
Guitar
Pro. I
Pro.
don't know.
Guitar Pro
Guitar
file.
Tab
Yeah.
Pro. So you wrote it on Guitar Tab Pro, and you sent me it, and I was like, what is this? But I was like, you know what? He is doing what every musician that really wants to do it does. You have to figure out, you have to be able to compose it and hear it before you bring it to the table. And that's what
Yeah.
you're doing. You know, you're using that format to write your music. And so I didn't really know what a lot of your songs were going to sound like. And you know, and then you're like, hey Trevor, we have the mix and master done, and you sent it to me, and then I listened to it, and I was just like, and then of course, you know, you had subhuman illustrations do the art, which is really beautiful. It really represents like kind of your
Yeah.
you know, interview with the vampire look
Kind
and
of.
all
Yeah.
that, you know. So I I I remember, and you know, I listened to it several times that day, and was just like, you sent me the pictures and all the things that you're doing, and I was just like, I was like, Nico's the shit. Like, he goes after, you know, you follow through on your passions, and that's like, you're following your dreams, and that's so inspirational. And I hope that when people go back and watch this, they see that in you. Like, you really, that it's a great record, and I love it. It's fantastic. I wish I would have got to do the little bit of release, but it was just too late. It was like, you sent it, I was like, there's no way I could even have this out in time. Like, it's
Yeah.
gonna be, you're putting it out like now, and it's gonna be 3 months till I get it here. Like, and who knows, dude. I mean, I'm not even putting out bands anymore. Like, this is,
Yeah.
I
I know.
actually am liquidating the last band I did. Like, their vinyl is so cheap right now. I have it up for $3. I want it out of my space. I didn't know, you know, Haunt does enough to where it's like the space that I have to run the online store and to run my own like record label, record studio kind of thing. I don't really have space for other people anymore. It becomes it just is like, there's just nowhere to put it. And then, you know, like, I have Dreamers coming in a couple weeks at Lance here, and the last album, Golden Arm, it actually took up a room, a spare room in my house for a month. Like, it took me a month to actually clear it out, like getting it all shipped, getting it all organized, putting away the vinyl that goes on tour, put away the CDs that go on tour. You know, all that little stuff that people don't probably even realize that I have to do on the
Yeah. Yeah.
side of being the musician. You know, it's like, so it's become a challenge, and also honestly, it's a waste of fucking money. I don't make any money off of it, so it's like, I gotta ship all this stuff out and do all this stuff just for the love of it. And like, honestly, there's better dudes out there to do it, like Florian of Dying
Yeah.
Victims. There's guys that are just way more involved, to where, as you know, with me, it's very limiting. Like, you get my support, but like, I don't have the time and money to invest into people
Yeah,
wholeheartedly, other than myself. And I'm so glad that Blackfire came out on Dying Victim. So
yeah,
let's tell us a little bit about that experience, just in case people haven't seen your Blackfire video on the Raptore Instagram, which kind of wrapped up the year of things that you did, which was really awesome. I loved watching it. It was a nice quick introspective.
yeah, yeah. That was the idea. I mean, for every album, I think of them as an actual era or a period of the band. So I wanted to do that, like a wrap up of the Blackfire era, and just move to the next one. I know that we're playing in PSEC next March with you guys as well, and there's still going to be a Blackfire concert, but in April we are going to record a new album, and there's a whole new concept going on for that. So yeah, that's the way that I like it. The same that maybe Kiss used to do. Like, I mean, you have the if for every album you have like a different costume or a different well, not makeup, but different stage and different everything. I always wanted to do the same with Raptore, and yeah, Blackfire was like a dark, fast album. I wanted to do like something like that. I was listening a lot of that kind of music at the time that I was writing the songs. So that's the representation of myself at that point. Um, and yeah, we sent it to all the labels, and this time we had better responses, of course, than previously. We had several offers, and this time we had the opportunity to choose actually who is going to release our album, and that was a pretty good sign. So yeah, we chose Florian for sure. He had the best. No, I mean not only the best deal, but he also takes care of the product itself. You know, he does the best. I mean, he's adding posters. He's doing several editions of the vinyl. He's adding postcard patches. I mean, his editions are the best. So we had no doubt when we got the response from him. We were like, man, so good that you're you're interested in Raptore. So let's do it with you. And we have a contract for 2 records, and I hope we can we can continue with him after this new album. And yes, as you say, he's always on the festivals. He's with his tent selling stuff. I mean, we
He has
played
his own festival this year. He's doing
the
his. He did his own festival, didn't
yeah,
he?
he's doing like 3 4 festivals. I mean, the Dying Victims one, like the main one, and he's doing like 3 or 4 more festivals, like smaller. And yeah, he took us to Oberhausen. Well, you're playing there as well this tour. Yeah, he took us there, and he was so great with us. I mean, for us, that's what we actually wanted to be part of a label who takes care of us, and that shows that we matter to him. So yeah, we are so grateful with Florian. We talk in a weekly basis as well, because now since we are working on the new album, and we are like finishing and polishing some details and everything. So we have a constant feedback, and that's important for me as well. The same way that I talked to you at that time, that you were constantly replying me on everything. I feel that's important for a musician.
Yeah, I do too. So so this album that's coming up, I'm curious, is it more on the speedier side or is it slowing down?
uh, let's say that we have, for example, a more doomy intro, for instance, which is basically a tribute to Trouble, which is one of my favorite bands ever.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Eric Wagner.
yeah,
Peace, you know,
yeah, man. I
great
love
band.
those. Yeah, Chicago's finest, right?
Yeah,
I,
that's fucking for sure.
I even would love to see them now with Kyle Thomas on vocals. He's an excellent singer. And yeah, we're adding more.
I got to play with the Skull quite a few times
Oh,
back in the
really?
day.
Nice.
Yeah, so I've been fortunate enough to be on a few shows with them, and um, I didn't really talk to those guys much because it's like, what do? You just like,
Yeah.
sometimes it's awkward just like infiltrate yourself into a little group of people, but definitely you shook the hands of those Eric especially because it's like hey, what's up,
Nice.
killer band and stuff. So
Yeah,
so
I used to play live with a.
speed metal. I'm curious, like, are you because Black Fire's pretty fast and like
Yeah.
I've found.
No, no, it's not. Yeah. Yeah, it is. Yeah, and also
Because
for
it just sounds right.
singing and playing at the same time with those songs is are pretty demanding, you know.
It's the hardest.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Is like when you start to over the years, you're developing you and what you do. The faster you play, the quicker you're out of breath, and the quicker your singing starts to suffer.
Totally.
And
Totally.
that
Yeah.
sucks. Like nobody wants to lose their voice on the road, and it's like
Yeah.
it seems like the faster you play, it's just so much harder on the. And I didn't escape that because of that reason mainly, but like you know, I've been starting to get a little bit more in just listening to. I don't spend my time when I listen to music nowadays. I don't spend as much time listening to metal. I'm like, because I don't want to I don't want it to influence me in the way that I want to write like that, because they're popular or something. So it's better just not to have any like outside influence in my mind and like kind of going to different stuff. But like lately I've been really into the Police, like um a lot.
Nice.
Like and I always have been, but like there's a song specifically and I had it on. We had band practice, and I knew that nobody here would ever know who it was. I put on the song "Dead End Job"
Uh-huh.
um, because, like, we're about to start going on tour, and everybody has to kind of work a dead end job to survive these days.
Yeah.
And I put it on, and everybody was like, "What is this?" I was like, you're never gonna guess." And I was like, "It's the Police," and they're like, because everybody knows like Roxanne and So Lonely and Every Breath You Take in that, right? But they don't like the Police is kind of like B-side or like whatever you want to call it. Their deep collection and the deep cuts are
Yeah.
pretty wild, like.
Yeah,
And
man. I always had the idea to do a cover of "Truth Hits Everyone," that song
yeah, yeah.
from the first album. I mean, I love the Police as well, and they were pretty badass.
I'm always finding myself. A lot of the time, I go back to like my like growing up list, like being. I was definitely, I could say without any doubt, I was more punk rocker than I was metal most of my life. Like heavy metal was kind of like there were certain bands that I just really liked, and that's all I knew because the internet did not exist. So there was like MTV,
Yeah.
and I'm seeing at those times because it was like more mid '80s at that time. Um, it was a lot more the Motley Crue
Yeah.
bands, and you didn't see Metallica didn't even have music videos yet. So
No.
like there wasn't even there was no video of Metallica. There was no Danzig, there was no videos of Danzig. And there was though there was Iron Maiden was the first heavy metal band that like of that I remember renting a VHS at Blockbuster Video. They had Iron Maiden there. It's kind of amazing to think now that there was a video store where you went and rented a video and Iron Maiden was in there. They always videoed their tours. Hold on, I'm gonna let my dog in. So they always had videos. They always had videos of their tours, and I was just like, wow, this band is fucking amazing. I've been obsessed with Iron Maiden forever, dude. Like I got Iron Maiden toys. I got plenty of Iron Maiden stuff. I love them. Seen them. I've done it all. Like they're one of the best bands that ever walked the face of the earth. But what really got me though was that and I have a tattoo of it, is the Misfits.
Misfits, nice.
That was my first true like romance with music, because it just seemed a lot more accessible. And I think like the attitude it portrayed in that time, I was getting into skateboarding. I had cousins into skating. And I find myself, I always listen to a lot more punk music than I do, or I always go back to, I listen to my British heavy metal bands all the time, especially Blitzkrieg. And I'm stoked on these bands that have come back and like made new records that are really good. I find myself listening to Angel Witch's latest record, and then Satan. I'm such good friends with those dudes, Russ Tippins and Brian Ross, that I listen to them differently than I listen to music, because like those dudes are like, in my mind, they're doing the best. They are the best band right now. It just, they're not super young and all that. And it's like harder to like, get it out there. But like you go listen to their records, and for guys that are in their 60s now,
yeah,
they're putting out stuff that's equally as good as their first record, if not better, like I can't say that about a lot of bands, but
yeah.
Angel Witch and Satan are really, they're doing amazing things. And we're going to Europe with them in the fall. And I couldn't be any more excited to spend more time with Brian Ross, who I always found Brian, he has one of my, like, I don't look at singing as like how high you could go and all these things. I listen to the tone of the person's voice, of like who they are. And even though Brian has a pretty epic range and he does a lot of, falsetto screams and shit, he has one of the nicest voices to listen to in heavy metal for me. Like when it goes over the music, it's pleasant, but it's rocking though. But you see what I'm saying? It's like it just sits on the music. Like it's like the universe just kind of went. And I love that band so much. I'm so glad that they're doing things, and I know that they're working on new music and stuff too. But it's pretty. I always find myself back to the early stuff that I liked, and and it is a lot slower. Like I was noticing with punk rock music, it seems fast until you put it up against heavy metal. And then you're like, this is not very fast at all.
Yeah, but the drums maybe give you that sense of speed.
It's just the tempo
is
of
not.
it's just the tempo of things. And it even goes back for me, like Ozzy's like tempos. Like I've always liked Ozzy's tempos. Like there's always been a level of like, it doesn't need to be blazing fast to be heavy concept.
No, he doesn't have many fast songs.
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a couple questions, and then we'll wrap it up. I know you probably got stuff to do. Do you feel like in music, like faster bands, do you feel like when you play with the band that's just super fast and you're like they're playing and you're after them, are you like, oh my God, like we cannot match that energy? Like if you play slower, because like that's something that I find sometimes at fast music, there's just an energy to it that is like live. It's like so in your face and it's so like bam that like it's just a different thing, man. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, I
what do
think
you think
it is
about
like
that?
that because yeah, the reaction of the people watching that band is, I mean, they want to go and do mosh and and hit everyone, you know.
Yeah,
So yeah, of course you're sending that kind of message from the stage, even though the lyrics are about whatever. If the music's fast and the tempo is upbeat, you're going to have that reaction in the public. Of course, regardless the whatever you're singing about or whatever course you're playing, you know there's nothing that can beat a fast drum in that area. But I think you have
it's
to
like you
have
set the
everything.
stage on fire, man. It's like it just
Yeah.
sets the stage on fire, and like anything that tries to come into that afterwards, like slower bands. I have to put myself in different mindsets to where it's like, okay, that band was really fast and energetic and all that, but and I'm gonna go up here and I have like a completely different type of delivery. Like it's so distant from that because like I have like I don't want to toot my own horn on this too badly, but I feel like I have lyrical depth, and that's where I like that's for me when I'm up there like singing a song to everybody. It's like I'm reciting to you like the book of life according to my life. You know what I mean? Like this is what I've dealt with, and we're talking about it in a musical shape more than like guns blazing. Even though I have songs like "Burst into Flame," "Hearts on Fire," and these anthemic ones that are fast, of course, because one thing, like I said, I never wanted to like pigeonhole myself, so it was like you could turn on the speeds of haunt. You could be like, what haunt do you want today? Mid tempo, or do you like the guns blazing version? Like, that I've always it's not good in some ways because it's like it's all over the place, but
Yeah.
at the same time, like I'm covering a lot of bases for myself and keeping it interesting for myself to be a little bit more on the train other than the like this is what we do and every song is always going to be like this.
No, I think you need to be dynamic, and your set list has to be uh, pretty pretty yeah, dynamic in a way that uh, you can have moments of speed and madness, and you can have moments of more like slow tempo songs. And also, as a band, you should have that variety of songs as well, because otherwise you're doing always the same. I mean, as long as that game's natural for you and you feel okay with writing that kind of songs, which is my case. I mean, I don't close myself to, okay, let's write a fast song or people are not going to like it. No, I mean, I just write whatever I want. I mean, I'm listening to any kind of music and I got an idea and I say, oh, that was a nice element they are doing in that song. Let's bring that attribute to the Raptore context, no? And let's try to make a song including that element that make me feel the same way that I felt when I heard that song, you know? And
Yeah,
and I don't mind if that element, let's call it is fast, it is slow, or it is whatever. I mean,
it's
of course,
definitely fast is more effective, man.
yeah, of
That,
course.
I could definitely say without a doubt, like, and we have these talks here at rehearsals. It's like, do we go in guns blazing or are we going like kind of like we're just gonna play rock tonight? Like it always when you play the show where you do your fast shit, like you feel it a lot more. It's just more the energy of it is completely different. And that's where I was, like I was, you're getting to album 2, you've probably matured a little bit more of your sound. That's why I was like kind of wondering where the speed of things go, because like I found that like when you play certain speeds, there's a lot of limitations.
Yeah, of
There's
course.
a lot of limitations. Like like there's sure you can go halftime and stuff, but when you're just at that speed, there's just really only
Yeah.
so many things you could really do, because a lot of the technical stuff that you might throw in won't even really be heard over the chaos of everything going so fast pounding,
Yeah.
right? Like as where you start to get a little bit more open in your music and it's not so fast, that those notes now are really opened, like
Yeah.
they sing differently. And man, I'm really interested to hear where are you playing any new shit at the Heavy Metal Thunder Festival, or is it just Blackfire era?
No, I mean we were thinking about doing a new song, but not. I mean we're pretty busy at the moment working in a two ways method, because we are doing all the pre-production for the new songs, and at the same time we have to play the old songs so we don't forget it.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
rehearsals
I
are
suffer. I suffer from that badly. I have
yeah.
everything tabbed.
Really, yeah, yeah, yeah. The solos are the worst. Solos are the worst. Yeah, and some lyrics as well.
Rehearsed tour in September. We didn't see each other again until January 1st. So
Yeah,
like there was a big gap. So like October, November, December, we didn't even see each other.
yeah.
And
So
then
you
and
were
then
like, how was this song? How we should play that?
oh my god, like it wasn't them, dude, it was me. I was the guy that wrote it. I was the train wreck.
Yeah.
And after that, I was like, you know what? I need to go back and I need to start tabbing these solos, because like it comes back to me. It's like riding a bike sometimes, you just have to play it a couple times and they're like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
but like trying to go in without, I mean, I've been working on new stuff. Like I always am. Songwriting is like my biggest passion in my hobby of music, or whatever, my musical journey. The creation of song has always been far more important than everything else.
Yeah.
It's like
It's the best part.
it really is. There's something magical about it, and you just feel you feel a sense of accomplishment.
Yeah.
Whereas like when I go on tour, I go, oh man, we survived. It's like I don't feel like it's like I accomplished. I'm like, we survived. We survived this. It's like it was crazy. We're about to get on an airplane, go all the way across, all the way across the country. Then you get into a van with somebody you don't know that's going to be driving you around for like 2.5 weeks, and you don't have your equipment. And then it's like, also when you're like me, I'm a vegetarian, and then I'm in the land of sausages. Like it's like, I'm just like, what the fuck am I? You know what I eat every day in Germany?
What?
This is what I eat. It's awful because it's good, but it's also not. At the gas stations, they have these nice sandwiches. This egg sandwich. That's it. That's basically for the whole trip. I eat that, and at McDonald's, there's quinoa burgers.
Yeah.
But there's always great catering at the venue. They always have food prepared for you. But it's like you're a human being that has to eat 3 times a day.
Yeah.
And
You're lucky if you don't faint in the
well, I
middle.
mean, no, dude, it's plenty. It's plenty of food. It's just the repetitiveness of it. It's like, what am I gonna have for breakfast today? And you're like, all right, an egg sandwich, because like it's just there. Here we have the American diner
Yeah.
experience, where it's like you go to a diner for breakfast. Whereas like Germany, it's like a little bit different, like thing as far as the eating goes, man. So I'm kind of dreading it, to be real. I'm like, that's the part that worries me the most, is just like, I'm gonna be so unsatisfied, in the nicest way. I'm not saying that that German food's bad. I just don't eat meat in that really kind of like
Yeah.
their staple dishes are like that, and since there's no fast food's not really big there, like it's hard to go in and go just get a plant-based burger.
Yeah.
Like it's just here I could get plant-based shit at the fast food place if you have to eat that. I mean, everybody that's toured knows that you're gonna eat some garbage out there because like
Yeah.
you're on the move, dude. You don't have like fresh produce and those things like readily available, so
Yeah.
I have to suffer that, but I won't say in Spain I don't suffer nearly as different because the bean culture, the bean
Yeah.
is just so dominant always, and it's like so delicious and so nutritious in so many ways. It's like like I love eating bean and cheese burritos. It's probably like my favorite thing in the world. I know they don't have that, like it's
Yeah.
different there, but I'm just saying, like as far as the Latino thing here is like it's a delicious, quick, nutritious meal that I could get on the fly.
Yeah.
There's no Mexican restaurants in Germany, man. But there are places like I'll look it up on Yelp, like
Yeah.
where's the vegetarian food, and we'll go if we have any time to go eat, we go there or whatever real quickly.
Oh,
But
there are some Taco Bells now opening here in Barcelona, so maybe they are going across Europe as well. Maybe you can
yeah,
get
I mean
anything there.
that's one. It's not my favorite food, but on the fly, a bean and cheese burrito isn't all that is not a horrible
Yeah.
um, for you health wise. It's quite
It's not the worst.
the opposite because it's not. They do put lard in it and things like that of that nature in the refried bean, but
Yeah.
I just have to kind of forget about that and just think about the complexities of that. Like I need to have sustenance and such, but dude, I'm stoked about Heavy Metal Thunder. I'm gonna see you in Czech Republic. That's
Yeah.
awesome. We're not playing the same day, so I don't think
No.
I'm gonna get to catch you guys, unfortunately. And
Yeah.
that makes me really sad. I wish you were on the same day, but when you told me that you're gonna be there, I had a smile on my face. I was like, awesome. I'm stoked that they're gonna stick around. And I'm really excited about stepping foot in Europe anyway, even though I just basically talked shit on the German food for like but it's not, if you would ask somebody like my dad, Germans have the best food because he's
Yeah.
into that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I just don't eat since I'm a vegetarian. That's kind of a complexity when it comes down to the cultural food. And America is a place of like very cultural food, like Indian food, any Asian food, and then Mexican,
Italian. Yeah.
especially in California. And Italian, I think, is that one that is everywhere. Like Italian
Yeah, it
food
is.
across the board. And I mean, I'm half Italian. My mom's Italian, and dude, I mean, that's what we mainly eat here. When I cook, like it's Italian. Like it's
Yeah,
just
of course.
so easy. Anybody could do it, and like it's just always been a good staple food across the board. Who doesn't like pizza? You'd have to question their
Yeah.
if you trust them. You're like, you don't like cheese, tomato sauce, and bread? Like you must be out of your mind.
Yeah,
But
it is actually my favorite.
thank you for taking the time to come chat with me, man. I really appreciate it. And everybody go check out Raptore Dying Victims. Is the label they're on that you could probably find goods, and you guys have Bandcamp as well, correct?
Yeah.
What's your Bandcamp site? I don't know it by heart.
It's just Raptore. I mean, bandcamp.com
All right.
slash
Yep. No,
Raptore.
it's raptory.bandcamp.com.
Yeah, exactly. It goes in the beginning.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
you're
that's where
right.
you go find him. Obviously on social media, follow Nico on his journey from Argentina to starting a heavy metal band in Barcelona, following his dreams. I wish you the best, man. I'm stoked to see you, and I'm sure we'll get to talk a lot more in person in a few weeks from now, or actually,
Yeah.
yeah, like a month from now. But
Yeah.
I'll see you soon, brother. Thank you, man. Later, and thanks for everybody for watching. We'll see you around. All right,
See you,
bro.
man.
Later.
Bye bye.
Ciao.
Ciao.